Hey, everybody. It's February 21st, day 34 of the Trump presidency. And I apologize for all of the yapping in the background last night. I'm going to let the yapper be in here tonight. There he is. He's harassing Snacks in the background. They actually are all very good friends. In fact, sometimes Snacks will even kiss him on the forehead. I mean, she's annoyed by him sometimes, but also she's very sweet to him. And he is very gentle with her. He is not as gentle with my other cat. They wrestle, and it's kind of intense. But they also cuddle sometimes. I live in a weird house. Excuse me. Let's get started. Kash Patel is going to be relocating 1,500 FBI employees. It sounds like there's going to be 1,000 that are going to back to the field across the country. Just random field positions, and 500 to an FBI office, facility in Huntsville, Alabama. I'm sure the people that are currently living in DC can't wait to move to Huntsville, Alabama. Honestly, so their official statement about it is something along the lines of, this is to reduce their Washington footprint, which let's think about what that means. They want to get the people that have the ability to stop them away. Not surprising. I'm sure that they also want to replace a lot of the people that they're letting go, completely, with Trump loyalists. And they told us that they were going to do that before he was ever in office. So it should come as no surprise to anyone. The Supreme Court has denied Trump's request to fire the head of the whistleblower office for now. It's a temporary denial. I don't know if you remember us talking about this, because if you're anything like me, some of this shit is going in one ear and out the other to some degree anyways, because there's so much of it. Although I will say that reading the news for an hour or so and then writing it all down feels like I'm studying for a test, and I'm noticing that I'm memorizing certain statistics and stuff. So yeah, some of this is getting real. It's stuck in there. I may want it out at some point, but oh well. It is comforting to think that the Supreme Court is willing to say no to anything. I'm going to really just, relish in that for a minute, because it could be worse, I think. I think it could be worse. We already talked about this yesterday. The Pentagon is obviously making huge cuts, but now they have a number for us. It sounds like there's going to be 5,400 probationary workers let go, and that's going to start next week. So I think obviously a lot of these organizations are letting go of their probationary workers first. It's a huge bummer for a lot of people who probably worked very hard to get in there in the first place, and were hopeful that they would have a more permanent position in the future. It's going to fuck the economy. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. The top official that is in charge of the Trump deportations was not fired, but reassigned to a field position. So maybe they're I wonder if they're starting to feel the heat of firing all these people, and maybe some people are starting to yap in their ears about it, because they're reassigning people. Some of the more important people, they're reassigning them instead. This man's name is Caleb Vitello, and he's just not moving fast enough for Trump. He's not doing it fast enough. They want more deportations. So anyways, he's now going to be out helping with arrests and overseeing deportations, the process instead. I do remember about a week ago reading a statistic that said that in actuality, Biden's administration was deporting, as far as numbers are concerned, surely numbers, Biden's administration was deporting more people per day than Trump is. However, I would assume that's because Biden's administration was more high functioning and wasn't so fucking chaotic, and maybe had more organization. And also, obviously, the Biden administration was not deporting legal immigrants. They weren't deporting people that by constitutional law should be here. They were only deporting people that shouldn't be here, right? And obviously Trump is doing both. He's doing whatever the fuck he wants, actually. So, So the economy. The Dow fell 750 points today, and the stocks are taking a huge ass kicking. Understandable. This is because of fears over tariffs, which are not fears. Like, it's just common sense. This is because of common sense. And retail is performing very poorly. People are holding on to their money, but we also, I think I forgot to tell you guys this, we hit a new all-time high in household credit card debt. I can't remember if I told you this or not, but anyways, it's up above, I think, 1.7 trillion or something. It's a record high in all of American history. And I think maybe I did tell you this, because the average person's own household credit card debt increased by 7% from a year ago, and in particular increased exponentially in Q4 of this past year. So anyway, I think it's probably smart, or at least, even if it's reactionary, it's very understandable that the stock market is going to fall apart. And again, for poor people, that doesn't fucking matter. Not really. I mean, the performance of the dollar is important, kind of. But, if Trump completely isolates us, I don't even know if that matters. And I saw today that China, this isn't even in here, I just recall this while I'm talking to you. China and Canada made a deal on oil to just do business directly and cut the United States out. I mean, what the fuck did you think was going to happen, though? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. You think that all these countries are just going to, take it and just let you do whatever you want? I mean, that's a crazy thought, but I'm not surprised that he thinks that, because that's who he is as a person. I think we are in for a huge financial ass kicking, and other types of ass kickings as well. Speaking of money, the Senate passed the budget resolution. So I guess it sounds like the House and the Senate are not in agreement upon this, and they're going to have to actually do anything, basically. But temporarily, the budget that passed is $175 billion for border security and $150 billion for military funding, which is interesting because they're also firing a lot of military personnel in the meantime. And again, I think they've told us this, and this is what they're planning to do. They're planning to fire whoever the fuck they want to fire and replace them with Trump loyalists. What I would like to know is, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of red-pilled little kids that will probably hop into the military or whatever if they for the right, with the right incentive. But currently, the majority of Trump supporters are over 65. Men over 65. So what are those guys going to do for you? Not much. Honestly, they're not going to be performing in your military. So it'll be interesting to see if they can even fill those seats. I predict they can't. Time will tell. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the Trump supporters that are starting to get fucking pissed off. And I'm all for it. Trump is now pointing the finger at France and UK for not stopping the Ukraine war. And I think that's interesting. Here's what I will say about that, and this is a little bit different than what I would normally say. I do think that perhaps too much fucking responsibility has been placed on the United States to do a lot of this shit. And I think the United States benefits from that a lot. And I think that's why, the dollar, among a lot of other reasons, the dollar has sort of remained the leader globally in many ways for a very long time. However, I think it would be to everyone's benefit for other countries to also, if we care about certain principles or whatever the case may be. Obviously the United States has completely done a full reversal on its stance on the Russia-Ukraine war, and Putin and Donnie are in a relationship of sorts. So, of course, now the United States, unfortunately, is on Russia's side. However, the point that I a little bit agree with is that, yeah, other countries should also try to help Palestine. And maybe now they will. Maybe Egypt will. I don't think it should just be. I mean, now it can't be the United States' responsibility to do all this shit because we're not here anymore. You know, like now it's like, you know, I thought this was going to stop him from yip-yapping, but instead he's just yipping at the cat. He's really cute though, I promise. Anyways, it certainly shouldn't be any one country's responsibility to be like the fucking bodyguard, the bouncer for everyone. Whether it's us or France or the UK or anyone else, it shouldn't be anyone. It should be, I mean, I would love to see the world like mature enough to function as a society, like a world society that cares about human life and the planet. That would be fucking cool. That would be weird. Probably isn't going to happen. But anyways, you know, whether or not other countries would have done something before about any of this, now they're going to either have to or nothing's getting done because we're not going to do it. We're going to bend over and let Russia do whatever the fuck they want. Obviously. So Elon Musk at CPAC yesterday, which is like the Republican weirdo convention, was real weird. Go watch the videos. He was on something. I fucking hope. He couldn't speak a full sentence. He wouldn't take his sunglasses off. He's prancing around with a fucking chainsaw, just yelling weird shit. And then when they tried to like do an interview with him, he literally he was stuttering his fucking ass off. Like he couldn't coherently answer questions. And this is the guy. Okay. I mean, whatever. They fired the LA fire chief for mishandling the LA wildfires. You know, when stuff like that happens, they do, of course, look for a scapegoat. I'm not surprised. I don't know enough about the ins and outs of things to know what should have happened or the protocol or anything. I mean, I do know that lack of rainfall, dry conditions, I think even like people bringing in plants from the outside. I mean, that's something that I've never thought about as much as I have the last few days because that book I'm reading about the Dust Bowl, really the Dust Bowl, it seems like the Dust Bowl probably happened because the white people came in with their eventual tractors. I mean, at first it was just their like shitty little tools, but eventually they had tractors that ripped out all the native grasses and they started trying to plant wheat or whatever, but they had like loosened up all that fucking topsoil. And so when crazy windstorms happen, it fucking almost killed everybody. And I mean, that's probably karma, you know? It's karma, but it's also, again, like the world, our planet evolved very slowly in a very specific way, and we're fucking with it, and we're not respecting it, and we're bringing shit to places it doesn't belong, and we're not fucking paying attention. We're not paying any attention to the world around us, which the Native Americans did exquisitely. They spoke the language of the planet. And we did not learn a goddamn fucking thing from them. And so, you know, I mean, are we due for another Dust Bowl? Yeah, probably. And I mean, this time the Dust Bowl may not be so forgiving. It may be a worldwide event that includes a lot of other kinds of, what were all the weird storms like thunder, snow, and like, I don't know, fire tornadoes? I actually think both of those things are real headlines I've seen in the last 5 years. I'm sorry for the animal noises, you guys. I guess this is a new part of my show. He's just getting more demanding, you know what I mean? Like he's going to get fixed soon. Neutered. Don't you worry. I don't know if that's going to do anything, actually. I've never had a boy dog. I don't know much about it, but we're learning as we go. Enrique Tarrio, who is an ex-Proud Boys leader, was just arrested they went and did like a press conference at the location of like where January 6th happened, basically, like right outside the Capitol. And I think that what happened is there was a lot of counter protesters there. He's so nuts. And one of the counter protesters was trying to like film him or take pictures, and he assaulted her. And the cops saw it, so he got arrested. I mean, it's whatever. Like, this kind of... I am really proud of counter protesters for being brave enough to show up and do these things. Like, something similar happened where the KKK... Shit, what city was that? I think I might have reported on it. The KKK showed up somewhere, and people literally just like drove them out. They were throwing soup cans at them. They were heckling them. And the police even said that they had never seen a response like that. And I think that the KKK like literally ran back to their van and like drove away, which is absolutely fantastic. So Maine, the state of Maine, has been refusing to comply with the executive order on trans athletes like not being able to participate in sports. And Trump is threatening them, of course. He's threatening to withhold their federal funding and to sue them. And of course, it's extremely public. Again, it takes a lot of guts for any official anywhere to stand up to this man. And we need every person who's brave enough to do that. And I just really respect and appreciate people that are trying to hold the line for us, because every single person counts. Every single person speaking out counts. This is my favorite story tonight. Really fucking happy to hear this. So, Republican representatives are starting to go back to their districts, and they are finding that people are not very happy about the shit that's going down. Actually, I did hear some updates about his approval ratings. His economic approval rating right now is 39%. It's lower than it ever was in his first administration. He's not doing good, dude. Like, at least in terms of like public opinion. So anyways, the constituents in these counties are like cussing these representatives out. Literally just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? One sort of quote that I remember, and I don't remember what state it was, some dude got up on the mic and was like, y'all are supposed to be conservatives. You're supposed to be like carefully making measured budget cuts. You're supposed to be like careful about the things you're doing. And instead, you're firing everyone and fucking everything up. And this is like not what this party is supposed to be. And then I guess there was a standing ovation. So that's hilarious. And these are like Republican counties. You know, these are places where Republicans were elected. And Republicans are pissed. And that is good. That is good. And, you know, as much as I want to always be saying, I told you so, I also, I think I do have some compassion, not for people who support Trump, but for, I think a lot of people, even the people who didn't support Trump, didn't think it was going to get this bad. Because we have been like lulled into this kind of like, oh, it can't happen to me. It can't happen to me. We're like the person that gets cancer that's like, my family doesn't have a history of cancer. Like, how the fuck did this happen? And it's like, yeah, okay, well, that's not how this works, you know? Like, you gotta work really hard to keep a democracy. You can't just, and I think that's really at the core of everything. That's kind of what happened is, you know, less than half of the people in this country who can vote voted. And that's fucking problematic. That's really problematic. In fact, I think it's like less than 40% or something total. That's fucked up. People are not doing their civic duty. And then you end up being represented by people that don't give a fuck if you live or die. Like Curtis Yarvin, who I have been like slowly learning a little bit more about Curtis Yarvin. And that's the guy that everybody like, you know, Elon and Peter Thiel, they're all basically part of Curtis Yarvin's religion, which essentially says that billionaires should use technology to rule over people, and that people who cannot contribute, who can't be like thought leaders in a society, are bio waste. I'm not exaggerating. I mean bio waste. He wants to just dispose of them. He wants to kill them. But he understands that that's problematic. So some of the ideas that they're floating around is to put people, I'm not kidding, in matrix-like farms where they're just hooked up to like tubes of life-sustaining liquid, and then they're on some sort of like virtual reality system. I'm dead fucking serious. He just wants them out of the way until they die. He doesn't want them having kids, or they want to have basically like a slave class that directly serves them, and then everyone else is dead or in a weird, disgusting goop farm. I'm not exaggerating. And if you see these people, you will see it's Revenge of the Incels. Like the man, Curtis Yarvin, I can tell by looking at him one fucking time. He's been rejected a lot. He may have money and power now, but he will never have like adoration or respect. He is respected by other angry sociopathic men, and that's it. He will never have genuine connection with a woman or just like people. He's not a normal person, and none of them are. They're all the same. Elon is the same. He's like a weird guy. Extremely socially awkward. He's not funny. He's creepy. People keep saying things like he looks like a corpse. He looks like he's wearing someone else's skin. I don't disagree. He's weird and off-putting. And he knows that on some level. He does. He has seen the reactions that he's gotten his whole life. No matter how much money he has, he knows that people in his world that are in his inner circle are just using him for his money. I promise you. He may not admit that to himself consciously, but like he knows it. Anyways, they are punishing us for their existence, which is fucked up. Speaking of fucked up, go look up the signs at CPAC yesterday that say Trump 2028. I wish we could go back to any year before this and undo all this. Trump 2028, finish the job. There's pictures of Trump depicted as what I think is probably Julius Caesar. They are pushing for a third term. And they're not doing it to be cute. They're not exaggerating. It's not funny. They're going to fucking either find a way to pull it off or we're going to war. I don't think that there's a lot of in between here, unfortunately. Or major climate change disasters, like basically force us to refocus on something else. Or maybe there's some other option that I'm not seeing. I'm sure there is. Aliens. Plagues. I don't know. Maybe the FBI, the CIA, all these agencies that they're demolishing, maybe somebody gets pissed. I don't know. I did also see a video of a military, maybe he was ex-military, anyways, a military guy saying he will go to war over this with them at like one of those public town halls. And he was like, we have crossed the red line. And then that also received a standing ovation. So I don't know. If they start firing a bunch of military people and taking away vet benefits, and, maybe. Speaking of crossing a red line, U.S. Marshals have deputied Musk's personal security team. Totally out of line. Fucking unelected official. Made his security team into deputies, giving them a lot more power. Not cool. Again, am I surprised? Am I alarmed? I don't know. It's all alarming. I'm past that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just comfortable in the alarm now. I also saw a very interesting video yesterday. a woman was talking about how life goes on during a dictatorship. Life goes on even under an authoritarian regime. People still try to go to parties. People still get married. They still have children. They read books. They eat sandwiches. And that was the most important thing that I took out of the book, Man's Search for Meaning, about a psychologist who survived the concentration camps. He talked about how when he was in the concentration camps, the people there still had crushes on each other. They still gossiped. There was still like tiffs. It was almost as if they just readjusted and continued the human condition at this like very diminished level. I think that happens probably in prisons too. I'm sure it does. In fact, I think we know it does. So I think a lot of the brilliant thesis of that video was like that the person was like, you know, trying to tell everybody like, hey, you guys, I think, are waiting for life to completely grind to a halt. So, you know, like, okay, now we're officially in authoritarianism. And like, that's not how this works. We are in this is an authoritarian regime, and we're still here in America living our lives. So two things can be true simultaneously. And we will continue to live, and some of us, again, probably won't make it, just being real, for a million different reasons, because bird flu will probably get out of control or something else, because climate change is going to continue. Like, life goes on regardless of some dramatic bullshit idiot, you know, that thinks that he's God, unfortunately. Like, we all have to acknowledge that this is a thing that's happening. But here's the other thing. It's unlikely to happen for more than 10 years. Like, even if he pulls this off, even if he becomes a king, first of all, he is on his last legs. But if somebody steps into that position and continues that legacy for a minute, it is unlikely that it's just going to continue on from there. I know Putin has been in power for a really long time. And sometimes, it depends on like what you do to people. Like, if you try to like really ramp it up and put people into goop machines, like, that's not going to fly, you know? Putin is like sort of kind of still just like letting his country be a country. He's just like pushing people out of windows a lot, you know? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of I know that like, I think that they execute gay people. Like, there's a lot of horrible things in Russia, but people are sort of functional. Anyways. The Justice Department has decommissioned the police misconduct database. Now, I don't know if that means it's immediately shut down or that it's just like no longer being updated, doesn't receive any updates like in terms of its technology. It's not being funded anymore. Or if they have plans to completely wipe this information, wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. They're going to need those good old boys more than, like, they need to, looking for Trump loyalists, like the number one Trump loyalists are like abusive, wife-beating, racist men. That's who loves Trump. They're probably making a smart move if they're looking for a bunch of violent men to hold the line for them that are into Trump. Like, that's a good way to do it. Like, throw them a bone and then pull them in closer. Makes sense. Is it justified? Fuck no. Is it legal? Probably not. I don't know. You know, doesn't really matter anymore. I can't believe you did that to my rug. I'm gonna have to really straighten that out after this. Last headline. Yeah, they still haven't given U.S. aid back their money. Are they ever going to? Probably not, man. Oh my God. Holy shit. I'm so sorry. I just yapped for a full 30 minutes. I didn't know. I guess I had a lot to say. I'm really tired, actually, and I am ready to retire to my quarters and to fix this rug. I got to get this pig to bed. Love you guys. See you tomorrow.